Hey guys, John L here. Hope you're all having a great day. So today is September 29th, and it is the release day of the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. So fortunately, I was able to get a pre-order. So I had the ability to just sleep in and leisurely head over to my Best Buy and have one of these guys waiting for me. So I'm actually kind of glad I did that, because I actually did get a couple other pre-orders too. I have one through Amazon and one through Target. I had those shipped, and both of them are delayed. So Target is actually supposed to be kind of a week later, something, I think somewhere in October. And Amazon doesn't even have like a date, although they are guaranteeing me the Super Nintendo Classic. So good for Best Buy on being able to have enough inventory, although it's a store pickup, so I don't know what I was expecting. But looks like Target and Amazon kind of missed the mark, and I'm a little bit disappointed because I just read in the news today that Amazon has a treasure truck in like 18 cities, and they're just, handing out Super Nintendo Classic Edition. So it's a little bit disappointing that they're not filling their pre-orders, and they're kind of doing a little stunt like that. So I'm a little bit unhappy with that. Kind of a little bit unhappy, just in the same way that they did it with the NES Classic as well, because they were obviously holding inventory. But anyways, so we got one, and I'm excited. These things were pretty hard to get with the pre-orders. They were, flying off of the, virtual shelves, I guess you'd say. And yeah, I guess I was just kind of like right there, right time. So, I talked to one of the guys when I picked up mine at the local Best Buy. He said it wasn't so bad, though. He showed up at 4 in the morning, was able to get a ticket, and the guy who was checking me out at Best Buy said that they even had some at 8 in the morning. So, like a couple tickets left. But as I know of, I think they had like 160 in stock, including the pre-orders. I'm not sure exactly how many they had available for people who lined up. But I showed up at around noon, and they didn't have any that were on the shelves. So even though there's more supply, it looks like the demand, at least initially, is enough that they're not going to have these readily available. So it'll be interesting to see if they, keep kind of filtering them into the stores, and, what it looks like. But anyway, so, nice box. I was actually taking a look, and yeah, it looks a lot like the classic Super Nintendo box design, almost with the same layout of like the Super Nintendo, of course the same lettering and all that kind of stuff like that. What's kind of interesting to me is it's actually the same size as the NES Classic Edition, and that one only had like one controller in there, so I'm pretty sure that they're cramming this thing pretty full. So I know a lot of people have made videos about what games that they hoped would be on this thing or would have expected, and again, I think a lot of this has to do with licensing, because Nintendo can put literally every Nintendo game on here. They're all so small, and this thing is so big and powerful that it could literally contain the whole Super Nintendo library over and over and over. So if anything, they could have put every Nintendo title, whether you wanted it or not, and it's like they almost did. But, if they had to pay Capcom, Konami, Square for any of these games, that's probably where the cost was going to be. So looking over, the list of games, it's nothing new. They've released this, pretty much since they mentioned the, arrival of the Super Nintendo Classic. And I think it's a good representation of the Super Nintendo. People would say something like, Final Fantasy 2 or 4, whatever you want to call it, should be on there as well. It's a fantastic game. Some of the ActRaisers and Illusion of Gaia really should probably be on this, but You know, Chrono Trigger. But then at that point, you know, it's maybe like a Square system, you know, and I think the idea was to get a good representation of what the Super Nintendo brought. A couple of things that I would say, you know, are a little bit like meh, are the Kirby Superstar. You know, that one seems a little bit of a stretch, and then I actually don't know how I feel about Super Street Fighter 2. It's a great game, but I always thought of it as like an arcade game. I think something like Killer Instinct, which was, from what I understand, a Nintendo exclusive, or was definitely more prominent on the Super Nintendo, would have been like a nice fit, but I know that has to deal with Rare, and that's a whole can of worms and everything. I think Super Double Dragon would have been like a fun one to have on here. It would have been like a fun beat-em-up. That, or like, well, Final Fight wasn't good because it didn't have like multiple players. I don't know about Mega Man X versus Mega Man 7. Both of them are a good game, so that's kind of splitting hairs, maybe. Everything else seems pretty solid, though. You actually have to have Legend of Zelda, it's there. Oh, with Super Mario World, yeah, that's fitting. It would have been nice to have the Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World, so you just kind of get the whole, you know, Super Mario shebang. But, you know, Super Mario World, to me, was the main Mario title for the Super Nintendo, and is covered. And then, of course, you have all the things like Mario Kart, Metroid, Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy 3, 6, Super Castlevania, Punch-Out. I'm not a big Donkey Kong guy, so I haven't even played Donkey Kong Country, but I hear Donkey Kong Country 2 is the one that you want to play if you have to play any Donkey Kong Country game. Whatever. They have a lot of RPGs on here. Earthbound, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. Those are okay. It's kind of weird to have those with Final Fantasy 3 and Secret of Mana, especially when I feel like Final Fantasy 3 and Secret of Mana outshine them, but those are both Nintendo titles, so why not? So anyways, let's open this thing up and take a look at it. As you see, I have a Nintendo Classic Edition. I haven't opened that up because I actually missed the boat on that, and I had to buy a ThinkGeek bundle, which was really expensive. So I just want to see if, you know, I can get one of these next releases. Let's see, how does this thing look? Okay, cool. Alright, it's hard to do this with one hand, and I am trying to do this with the phone. It's definitely kind of a heavy box, so, alright, here we go. Very nice. Everything's all packed up. Nice. Super Mario World, 96 levels and 9 worlds abound, so I'm not sure what exactly this is. Don't really need instructions. AC adapter that goes to USB. Very cool. Here are our controllers. Alright, this whole thing is just super tiny. Alright, let's get the cables out first. So here is the USB to this mini HDMI, micro HDMI. Looks like micro HDMI. Yeah. And what do they have here? Oh, just like a regular HDMI cable. Alright, and I just dumped this thing out right here. So it's hilarious. This thing feels incredibly light. So from my understanding, this is the same guts as the NES Classic Edition. And I think this is all just solid state stuff. So, let's see, how do we open up the, Oh wow, okay, so you just kind of pull this guy out here, let's not break it. And then here's the two connectors that fit the Nintendo Wii type connection. Alright, It's kind of a weird design. I don't know why they needed to make this cover here. I think it would have been fine to just have the controller ports right there. I mean, it seems kind of goofy. Again, this thing feels just super, like, flimsy. Not flimsy, but, like, there's just nothing in here. I imagine, like, this thing is, like, way, way, way smaller than, you know, what's actually necessary. So, HDMI out, and then a DC in. The reset button that allows you to... Okay, eject doesn't do anything. Save, from my understanding. Alright, let's see the controllers. Alright, so how do these guys feel? Okay. Yeah, it feels like, switch hands here. Good old Nintendo. I think that's the best thing about this system. The fact that they get to use the exact hardware. So, nothing spectacular. Nice long cord right there. So anyways, I'm going to take a break and plug it in, and then we'll take a look at some of the games. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, we have the Super Nintendo Classic unboxed. It's all set up here. We have power, and we have the HDMI connected. Here's the controller in relation to the console. And we have it actually connected to a Elgato HD60S, which is connected to my laptop right here. Looks like it's coming through cool. And it's also up on our nice TV. So I'm just going to switch to that and we'll play some games. Okay, so here we are. Just started the whole thing up, so this is the intro screen. It looks like it's on a screensaver, which is nice. So we'll go ahead and choose English, which is fine. Got to hit start. There you go. So one thing I noticed is the cord feels thinner than the original. So if you're a stickler, there's that. But here is the all-famous Super Nintendo Classic, NES Classic menu. It's the exact same thing, so, you know, it's the same emulator, essentially. And what do we got? Display, we can change our settings. So, 4:3, pixel perfect, CRT, do we want a frame? Not really. Some cool little options here. I like the feel of the control, feels pretty good. Let's see, let's go back. What do we got here? Options, so my gameplay demo, classic demo, screen burn-in reduction. Yeah, definitely want to keep that. So, it's funny though, the display, like, the icons, well, I think it's also because my TV's kind of big, but they're super pixelated, the icons, but then the text is like crystal clear, so it's kind of a weird combination. Okay, we don't want to reset anything. Language, we're fine. Legal notices, we can skip. Manuals, this is always cool. I'm not going to do this right now because I'm not going to bust out my phone and use the QR codes. So let's see, what happens if I hit reset right now? Nothing. So I believe you do that during games, and you can do the save state and rewind. So that's kind of the funny thing with the NES Classic. Everybody crapped on how small the controllers were, but it actually made a whole lot of sense to have them that small because you really want to have the console close to you. So I don't know if the controls allow for like a save state in just some kind of button combination, but if it's the same thing, then, you know, even though you have these nice long controllers, you're still going to be probably pretty close to like your console. So what's the first game that we want to play? Let's do something quick. Let's do like F-Zero. let's see if we... Okay, so we just hit reset. Oh, okay, suspend point. So if I press down, oh, okay, cool. And I can do a rewind back. What do I do? Rewind. Oh, that's cool. I get rewind now. Okay, that's a neat new feature, I believe, from... That wasn't on the first one. Let's go back. I don't really want to save that. Okay, and I think that's the magic. So we can just jump in here. And as soon as we return, the save state goes away. So let's just do a quick Grand Prix. We'll go Samurai Goro because he's the best. And since I haven't played this, we'll go Night League and we'll go Beginner. So it feels a little bit weird. But then again, you know, I guess the graphics are just going to be like that. Everything feels good. So I'm not gonna make this like a long play of F-Zero. I'll probably just get through the first race. Maybe check out another game. Skills. So I usually record on a smaller monitor. Like I'm not really used to playing retro games on the big TV. It's a nice... Well, I guess they can't really do anything. It has to be 4:3. I mean, they're not going to be able to stretch these things to widescreen. I think I might switch to CRT. Not CRT. Yeah, CRT. And just see what it looks like. It's nice that they gave you the option to have kind of a classic filter to kind of get you the unique feel of playing like an old classic TV. I mean, I've looked online and I think some of the art for these old games was actually based on the scan lines being there for you know, these old like retro games. So this is terrible. I don't know if they look a little bit weird or different without having those scan lines, so... Anyway, since we made some awesome progress, we'll go ahead and save our state right there. So, let's click Y. It's nice. Alright, we can go back, and how do I get out of this thing? How do I get out of these games? Just do the hold. There we go. So how do I get out of this? Do I also hit reset? Okay, I guess we just hit reset. Alright, so let's take a look at the CRT filter. So I can see what the difference is there. I'm not sure what pixel perfect is. I would say maybe that's even like higher resolution, or maybe it has anti-aliasing or something to kind of smooth out the roughness. Either way, let's go ahead with this. Alright, let's check out something else quick. Let's play some Street Fighter. Yeah, that feels better. So I'm surprised also with this choice of Hyper Fighting Turbo, because Super Street Fighter 2 did come out for the Super Nintendo, and if you're going to do a Street Fighter game, you might as well... Oh, I need to set up the controller. At least add the one that, you know, had the most features and everything, so that's a little bit of a weird choice. So, low punch, medium punch, high punch, low kick, kick, high kick. Alright, we're set. Yeah, I guess on a smaller monitor, having and not having the scan lines doesn't seem to be as noticeable, but on like a big one, it definitely seems like something's missing. Cool arcade look. Alright. With Ken. Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have Cammy and Thunderbird, or whatever his name is.
Round one, fight! Hadouken! 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 Yoga! Yoga Flame! Yoga Flame!
Alright, and we're not gonna beat
Yoga Fire!
Street Fighter 2. We're just going to do a quick play. Controller feels good. I mean, it definitely feels solid, unlike a third-party thing, but then, you know, you'd expect that anyways, so... Whoa.
Yoga Fire! Yoga Fire! Yoga
Oh, boy.
Yoga Fire! Yoga Fire! Hadouken! Hadouken!
There you go. Alright.
You win!
Solid victory over Dulcim right there.
Fight! Hadouken! Hadouken! Yoga! Hadouken! Hadouken! Hadouken!
If I can pull off one combo, I'd be happy. Nope, guess not. Oh, alright. Okay, anyways, I guess that's enough me being terrible at Street Fighter 2. So I would almost not even play this without the CRT scan lines on, because it definitely makes it feel a lot more authentic. So I don't need to do this, and
Round one, fight!
let's just get out of this. Yeah, so I mean, to get out of games, you want to hit the reset button, so totally makes sense to have this thing close by. I'm like a foot or two away from this thing, so the only drawback, I guess, would be that if you do have a big TV like mine, you're going to be probably a little bit close to it. Pat the NES Punk said about the NES Classic, it probably makes more sense to have a longer power cord and a longer HDMI cable, and I would agree with that too. You know, I didn't play the NES Classic, so I don't have experience prior to this, but since the mechanics of the thing are the same, then this thing is meant to be held close to you so you can, you know, do the reset and do the save state and all that kind of stuff like that. So I say the cable length thing isn't that big of a deal. So anyways, you know, we know about all these games. I'm not going to test them all out. I just kind of wanted to see the display, and look, it's kind of nice. It even gives you a save state. Yeah, I guess every time you get out of the game, you can save state it right there. So that's really nice. So it's easy to use, good selection of games. I'm probably going to check out Star Fox and Star Fox 2 and see what that's about. And anyways, hopefully you guys get your hands on one of these. It's pretty cool. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I think it makes it real easy to play some like retro games, and definitely makes it easy to record retro games since you have an HDMI out. So hopefully it's not limited, because it seems like a pretty cool thing. The fact that they gave you 2 controllers is like totally great for playing with some friends or a friend. So anyways, I had a lot of fun opening this thing up and testing it out. Hopefully there's some good information here, and thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Okay, so there's a cool little screensaver thing that goes on, and I'm not sure if it was in the previous the NES Classic, but just as I was like turning this thing off, I saw it and I was like, okay, I gotta get back in and record this because I thought it was pretty hilarious. So I don't know how long I need to sit here and wait for, but any minute now. Well, probably at least like a minute or something like that. Oh yeah. Now, I don't know if that was there before, but I thought that was pretty cool. So it's like a screensaver, and apparently Mario, whether you like it or not, is going to jump into one of your save states and get it going. So I think it's little things like this that make this thing cool. So anyways, I had to catch that. Alright, that's it. And yeah, once you just press a button, you just jump right out of it. So again, just something else cool.